A new report from Punchbowl News says that Amazon is looking to avoid the blame for raising prices as a result of President Trump's new tariff.
But I imagine you do when it comes to tariffs.
We look at all the things that could impact consumers and customers.
A recent report from Punchbowl News suggests that Amazon is trying to sidestep the fallout from increased prices linked to President Trump's new tariffs. In just a moment, we'll dive into the significant executive order he's about to sign, which will implement reciprocal tariffs across the globe. That basically means if they impose tariffs on us, we'll do the same to them. What's got the president particularly riled up is the idea that Amazon might start breaking down the costs of specific items to show how much is impacted by these tariffs. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt has mentioned that she discussed this directly with him, especially after the news broke just before their press conference. We've already seen initial reports coming in about how these tariffs will influence consumers and customers alike. The first sign that something was amiss didn't come from a flashy headline or a press release. It was silence. At Amazon's Seattle headquarters, the usual hustle and bustle came to an unexpected halt. The strategy teams that used to buzz late into the night were now eerily quiet. Meetings that used to be on the calendar were suddenly canceled, signaling something was shifting within the company. Then, without any prior warning, Amazon's global leadership made a shocking announcement. They would be relocating their headquarters outside the United States. This wasn't just a new office or an expansion. They were moving their entire operation, including logistics, finance, and decision-making overseas. The catalyst? Tariffs. But these aren't just any tariffs. We're talking about a trade war that's politically charged and economically damaging, prompting a complete overhaul to how multinational companies operate. This process didn't start with Amazon. It all began back in January 2025, when a new administration kicked off what it called a patriotic trade revolution. Massive tariffs were slapped on everything from Chinese electronics to European pharmaceuticals and even Canadian raw materials. And amid all this turmoil, important rules were being reevaluated, affecting what could come into the country under low-value thresholds. Amazon's time of enjoying duty-free imports came to a sudden halt. This rule had been crucial, allowing countless overseas third-party sellers to dominate its platform by offering low-cost items, from electronics to textiles, all thanks to lean distribution networks. Now, with new tariffs hitting up to 145% based on where these goods came from, Amazon found itself at a competitive disadvantage. The competitive edge they once had disappeared almost overnight, while foreign competitors thrived with lower prices and a smooth shipping process. In response to this geopolitical crisis, Amazon's top brass in Seattle reviewed their options. They knew the stakes were high. The projections were stark. A staggering $13 billion in potential losses over the next 3 years if they didn't act. So they launched what they called Project Silver Compass, a bold initiative aimed at scouting a new country for Amazon's global headquarters and redefining the landscape of international e-commerce. Within weeks, Amazon's internal team, led by former logistics head Vincent Chow, put together a short list of potential new homes. The criteria were straightforward: low or zero tariffs, favorable tax laws, geopolitical stability, and an advanced tech infrastructure. The contenders? Singapore, Ireland, Canada, and the United Arab Emirates. Each had its own strengths. Singapore was quick and commerce-focused. Ireland had a track record of attracting major corporations. Canada offered cultural familiarity and flexible trading opportunities. And the UAE, with its lack of corporate tax, stood as a robust option for multinational operations. Behind closed doors, Amazon quietly negotiated with officials in all 4 nations, looking to secure tax advantages, data security assurances, and quick residency for a sizable number of employees. One proposal from the UAE really stood out: a deal that promised 10 years of zero tax, a sovereign data treaty, a bespoke global logistics hub in Dubai, and fast-tracked relocation for up to 40,000 employees and their families. Meanwhile, tensions at home were escalating as Amazon began testing a new feature to display tariff search charges directly on product pages, informing customers about the additional costs. When details about trade policies and their costs slipped into the media, the White House's reaction was explosive. President Trump's press secretary accused Amazon of acting against American interests, while congressional supporters pushed for antitrust actions. In a private conversation, Jeff Bezos reportedly cautioned the president, saying, "If you make it impossible to operate here, we will operate somewhere else." After that, things grew eerily quiet. There were no more headlines, no comments from Amazon's top executives, and no more scheduled meetings in Seattle. Then, on May 6, 2025, Amazon made a shocking announcement. It would move its global headquarters overseas. Before we dive deeper, don't forget to subscribe to support our channel. The immediate economic impact was intense. Wall Street was shaken, with Amazon's stock dropping 5% following the news, only to rebound when analysts realized the potential long-term benefits of lower taxes and tariff-free trade might outweigh the initial disruption. However, in Seattle, the situation was grim. Thousands of workers faced tough relocation decisions. Housing markets that had been propped up by Amazon began to decline, and small businesses that relied on Amazon's foot traffic were forced to shut down. City officials scrambled to manage the projected loss in tax revenue, while Amazon wasted no time shipping its executive teams to Dubai. The company was busy recreating its data infrastructure in Abu Dhabi, training cloud engineers on local data laws, Islamic finance, and labor standards. They were outfitting new fulfillment centers in Bahrain and Oman with solar power and smart sorting technologies. Amazon was becoming more than just a company. It was evolving into a borderless entity, and other corporations were taking note. If Amazon could escape the chaos of US policy, why couldn't they? Apple started pushing for tariff relief on Chinese components, warning that ongoing restrictions could force them to shift their supply chain overseas. Tesla applied for new tax benefits in Indonesia for a battery facility that operates outside of US regulations. And even Walmart began reassessing its international sourcing strategies to safeguard its logistics. Amazon's move is more than just a change of scenery. It's a bold statement of independence. And for the United States, it's a stark reminder of what's at stake. Washington now has to address the repercussions of this monumental shift. The strategy of using tariffs as a tool in trade wars, particularly those aimed at China, has led to unexpected consequences that we need to unpack. Instead of boosting domestic production and establishing dominance, we're witnessing a rapid shift as international competitors rush to seize the opportunity. In cities like Dubai, Singapore, and Dublin, tech leaders are celebrating an unexpected turn of events. They've realized that America's biggest company isn't relying on the US government anymore. They're turning to them. Amazon's new headquarters is being described as a sort of digital special economic zone, an environment where innovation in AI, robotics, and optimized supply chains can thrive without the weight of American regulations. Nearby universities are collaborating with Amazon to set up research labs, regional governments are reducing bureaucratic hurdles, and offering improved infrastructure to attract this giant. Simultaneously, Amazon's workforce is undergoing significant changes. Some teams are moving overseas, while others are being retrained for different roles. This transition is creating a new influx of talent, bringing in engineers, economists, and designers from around the world to spearhead Amazon's future. However, back in the US, the response is heating up. Senators are initiating investigations. Labor unions feel betrayed by Amazon's actions, and consumer advocacy groups are pushing for government intervention to prevent what they see as tax-driven relocations. Unfortunately for them, it seems the train has already left the station. Amazon is moving on, and a pressing question looms. What does it truly mean to be an American company if the US is no longer seen as the best environment for business? In this shifting landscape, tariffs aren't just simple tax adjustments. They're catalysts. And Amazon has just made a major move.